Can I do something legally if I rented the property and the landlord entered without my permission? He claimed it was just to check something. Yes, absolutely. So when somebody enters your residence, your private residence, without your consent, without your approval, I mean that's breach of trust. It's trespass, and therefore it's a criminal offense in the UAE. So it's covered under different legal theories, one of which, as I said, is trespass. Another one is breach of privacy. And depending on the other sort of circumstances, it could be some other type of criminal offense. But certainly it falls under the UAE criminal law, and the UAE views, in particular, right to privacy to protects it quite zealously. So specific laws that protect these kinds of circumstances or victims in these circumstances. So a landlord cannot just enter the property only because he's a landlord. I mean, landlord is somebody who legally owns the property but does not necessarily legally has the right to come into the property. And in your case, what you should do is you can report this to the police, and then depending on I guess the circumstances or where that led, this kind of illegal entry led, you may also be able to file a civil case or an RDC case, either for compensation for what happened or sort of refund, for example, of some of the rental payments on account that you didn't have the full benefit of the property by virtue of your landlord kind of waltzing in and out of your property. Now, there are certain circumstances where the landlord may have the right to re-enter, and that's usually when there's an emergency, right? So let's say the management company called them and you're not at home because there's some sort of a leak in the property. In that case, that would give them a legitimate defense to have entered the property without your permission, and that would obviously need to have to be properly documented. So that would be kind of redeeming circumstance from the landlord. But otherwise, apart from anything like that, then they don't have the right to just come into the property. But if you're going to make an issue out of it, you need to kind of identify what's the purpose of what you're going to do next. I mean, are you going to, because whatever it is you do will require some effort. If you report this to the police, you have to first of all have the proof that the landlord entered without your permission, maybe video camera and such, and then that requires some effort for you to follow ups. And if you file, in the case of RDC or the courts, you also have to show, be prepared to quantify the amount of sort of damage that you would have suffered as a result of this breach. So whatever it is you do, think about the purpose, and I guess this all depends on the gravity of the circumstances. Certainly legal tools you have, but from a practical standpoint, you need to decide for yourself whether it's worth for you pursuing this, or better to just document it to the landlord. This is against the law, and next time he does it, you will report. And that's all obviously to avoid these kinds of occurrences in the future.